Hey guys, this is the Leaderboard. I'm Darrian P. Mack, and I'm here with Maddie, the head games writer for Bleeding Cool, a gaming news publication, and you've also lended your amazing writing skills to some Leaderboard videos. 14 players you meet in every Fortnite match, right?
Yep, yeah, I also did Rainbow Six Siege, everything you need to know about Operation Chimera.
Maddie, you have some really interesting information that kind of dropped unexpectedly about Final Fantasy 15. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so yesterday Square Enix hosted a panel about Final Fantasy 15. It was supposed to be the Windows edition, and they did give us some news about that, so we got to see how the mod options will work and the level editor that they plan to eventually introduce into the game. But then they sort of changed gears suddenly, brought on some more people from the Final Fantasy 15 team, and dropped a whole bunch of news about the game in general. So they're taking their multiplayer Final Fantasy 15 Comrades mode, releasing that as a standalone. But the most important thing that people are actually going to be super interested in is the 4 new character-based DLCs. So they take your companions, give you a couple extra hours of content to see what they were doing at certain points of the game. These new DLC are going to be based on other characters that fans really wanted to see more of. They're also like alternate universe versions of how the story worked out.
Tell me a little bit more about how that's going to work.
Okay, so it's a little bit like comic books where you have to accept like, all right, there's multiple timelines and universes and just gonna eventually make sense because
Because it's Final Fantasy, right?
It's Final Fantasy. Square Enix loves to do this. They released so much extra stuff for 15 anyway, so there's a lot of fan reaction and excitement still for it. So they've got 4 new DLCs. The first one is going to be focusing on your arch enemy. So it's going to be episode Adryn, and you get to play as everyone's favorite emotional trash heap and go through his past and like why he hates the Empire of Lucius, what he did to piss off the Astrals, why he's the immortal accursed, which should be really fantastic and really interesting information. It should also be fun because you get to play as an evil guy who's unrepentantly evil instead of like a weird, nonchalant kind of emo hero protagonist who just wants to, I don't know, go on a road trip with his boyfriends instead of get married.
Entourage.
The second episode is going to be episode Aranea. So Aranea Highwind is a huge fan favorite character because she's a badass lady in a video game that's mostly entirely about men. Like for the most part, most of the women can be used as props. Aranea is a little bit different, so that'll be exciting. We get to play as a girl. Episode 3 is episode Luna Freya, which everyone's excited for, because finally Luna gets to do stuff and shine and be awesome. And the last one is actually episode Noctis, and this is the one that they're not talking a whole lot about. And everyone's like, all right, the whole game is episode Noctis, but this is going to be an alternate version of Noct's fate, so if he goes down a different path, we don't know which one it's going to be. There's a bunch of different ways that they can take it, but should be interesting. A lot of people were really excited for other possible character DLCs because they did, of course, have the audience try and guess what the next DLC episode was going to be going down the list. And for some reason, fans really want an episode Regis. Yeah, it was fascinating. The dev team sort of hinted that they might be considering doing more DLC if people want it.
We know that Final Fantasy 15 was very successful generally for Square Enix. What do you think is motivating them to continue down this journey, right? Like we usually get like Final Fantasy 16, which will be a completely unconnected story, but they've really tried to invest more in this universe and have so many different media with so many different DLC.
Well, I mean, if you look back, they've done this with other Final Fantasies before. So Final Fantasy VII, we had a couple of different games that tied into that universe. There was one that you follow as Vincent Valentine, the vampire guy, from Final Fantasy VII. 13 had a couple extra games that were added on to it, including Lightning's Return, which didn't do so great. And 15 was actually supposed to be the 3rd game in the Final Fantasy 13 expanded universe, but that was scrapped and they decided to release it as its own separate standalone game because it was so big and it's now not really connected to 13. So it's not like they don't have precedent for taking something that people like and running with it until people stop caring about it, but it also plays really well into what we're seeing with a lot of games now. People want live service games. They want to keep playing more and more and more of what they love, so I think it plays pretty well into that aspect of gamer culture where nobody's ever satisfied. They want new versions of things, they want more content, more DLC. And it also plays into Square's strengths of having an IP and being like, all right, we're going to focus the next 14 years on just this one game.
Maddie, based on what you saw at the reveal, was there anything that you're super excited about that you're really hopeful for as a longtime fan of Final Fantasy?
Releasing new character DLC was something that people have been wanting for a long time and that I myself was super invested in. They released a survey like last year asking what people would be interested in seeing more of. So it's not like this one was totally out of left field, but I was so excited for it. I want a DLC for my own favorite character, which we didn't get, but I'm hoping that they will do a third round and I will get episode core because that is what I want. I want to play as the Immortal, all right?
All right, Maddie, anything else that people should know before we end the wrap this up?
About 15. Oh, yeah. So the last thing that they mentioned was that the next coming collaboration event that they're doing is going to be for Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Really? They just hinted at it? Did they give us any more information about that?
No, it was like the last thing. They were like, all right, before you guys leave, you know that we're due for another collaboration. So it's going to be Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Here's the key art from Shadow that we've seen before. And we're going to tell you more about it when that's pertinent eventually. I'm hoping it's closer to the end of this month because they are taking Shadow of the Tomb Raider to Tribeca Games Festival. So I could expect us to get some details like around then or shortly after. But it does mean that like we left on a total cliffhanger.
All right, so we're going to keep talking to Maddie about all the new things coming to Final Fantasy 15. And when does the first DLC drop?
It's going to be winter of either like the end of 2018 or early 2019. So these are definitely like just early in development, still being worked on. Okay. So we will have to wait a few months for those.
All right, so we got a lot of news. First DLC might be coming to you in winter of this year. Mind-blowing. Make sure if you haven't already, click that subscribe button and then click the bell icon so you can be notified whenever we upload videos. Maddie, thanks again for joining us. And as always, keep it here to Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.